Hey, it's Luke here from LT Gaming and welcome back to the channel. Today I need to show you one of the coolest things you can do in X4 Foundations right now, because the Star Wars Interworlds mod has moved into the 0.9 era, and it's genuinely one of those total conversions that doesn't feel like a mod anymore. It feels like someone rebuilt the whole game as a Star Wars sandbox. And if you like this sort of content, hit the like button because it really helps the channel, and quite frankly I feel disturbance in the force that some of you haven't done it yet. As someone who's always been a big expanded universe Legends fan, if I have to call it that, this is the exact kind of Star Wars vibe I want more of. And my journey with Star Wars started when I was in my mid-20s, absolutely obsessed with the expanded universe novels, and I had this incredibly boring job where I'd sit with my back to a wall and just read Wikipedia all day. Simple but amazing times. And then Disney bought Star Wars, and yeah, let's just say I stayed away from it for quite some time. The Last Jedi has to be one of the worst films I've ever seen. It sucked the spirit out of Star Wars completely. But recently I've started to get back into it, especially the Old Republic. I'm reading the expanded universe novels again, and this mod just hit me at exactly the right time. Okay, enough ranting about Star Wars because I could literally start a side channel, and I might one day, but you know, we'll see if we get there. So, quick context, X4 Foundations is the base game here, a big space sandbox where you can fly ships, trade, build stations, run an economy, command fleets, and basically go from one ship and a dream to accidentally own half the galaxy. And if you're a fan of LT Gaming, it should be a title that you're no stranger to. Star Wars Interworlds is a total conversion that sits on top of X4 and replaces the universe with its own Star Wars setting, ships, factions, sectors, equipment, music, the whole lot. And of course, I won't be playing any of the classic music here because Disney will come down on me like a ton of bricks. It's set around 14 ABY in this really smart mix of canon and legends, where the New Republic is trying to establish control, the Imperial Remnant and Warlords are still fighting, and corporate factions are carving out influence while everyone else is distracted. Now that reminds me, I'm really interested in Star Wars stories where the CIS and the Roger Roger robots actually survived and carried on. I think there are some out there, but I need some advice, so stick that in the comments. And getting back to the mod, I really like the design choices here. It avoids a bunch of stuff that would just break balance or derail the whole sandbox. So you're not dealing with planet killer super weapons every 5 minutes, and it's not trying to cram in every era at once. It's a focused living galaxy take built to actually play well inside X4. It's worth a look because the scale is ridiculous. You're looking at 220 plus new ships spread across all ship classes. From small fighters up to absolutely massive capital ships. It's not just here's an X-Wing and a Star Destroyer either, there's depth here. And the galaxy itself is huge with 220 new sectors. So you're not just flying Star Wars ships through an X4 shaped map, it feels like you're operating in a rebuilt Star Wars flavoured space. The other big one for me is that it's clearly aiming for feel, not just visuals. The mod leans into the idea that your TIE Fighter and X-Wing should feel totally different to fly, and that's exactly what you want from Star Wars. These ships should have personality, and because it's X4 underneath, you still get that proper sandbox stuff, the economy, logistics, fleet, station building, except now it's wrapped in Star Wars progression and galaxy politics, with things like citizenship and faction progression, neutral trading corporations, and factions that react to who you support. The big headline for the 0.9 branch is that it's aligned with X4 8.0 and it taps into the newer diplomacy systems, so the galaxy politics side has more going on, and everything just feels more Star Wars than it did before. You've got a big push on pirates and the underworld side of things, pirate factions feeling more independent, more dangerous, and more likely that they'll get their own ecosystem instead of just being a minor annoyance. There's also a much more immersive feel for some of the interiors in the ships, and more focus on covert roles for smugglers and special modes on certain craft that lean into that sci-fi gadget fantasy. And there are extra touches that make the galaxy feel like it's moving, like dynamic news style updates when big events happen. Just a quick interlude to say most of you who watch the channel are not subscribed. So make sure to go down below and hit that subscribe button because it helps smaller channels like us grow really quickly, and both me and Tom really appreciate it. Now, even with how impressive this all is, you're still working within the limits of X4, and that comes with a few constraints. The most obvious one is immersion stuff that's hard to fully replace. For example, character portraits and some UI presentation elements won't always match the Star Wars vibe perfectly, because you're fundamentally modding a game that wasn't built to swap every single human-facing asset in a seamless way. And the big one people always ask for, no planetary landing. This is still X4, you're living in that space sandbox, stations, sectors, ships and fleet ops, but you're not going to be walking around on Coruscant. So if your dream is a full land on planet, walk into a cantina Star Wars RPG experience, this isn't that. Though I have felt a disturbance in the Force that there is one out there, and I'm going to track it down and probably feature it. But if your dream is I want to exist in a living Star Wars galaxy and build my own story, then honestly Star Wars Interworlds shines. Okay, so the practical bit, this is a total conversion, so you've got to treat it like it's its own game inside X4. The installation is actually fairly easy, and I'm not the most technical person in the world. You can download the mod from the link in the description, then you just unpack it into your X4 extensions folder, go into X4, enable it, restart, and everything should work. The mod does have DLC requirements, so before you install, double check you've got what it needs, because missing DLC can cause weird issues or just stop things working properly. It also asks you to disable protected UI mode in X4, otherwise you can run into problems. There's also a hotfix available for some people who get stuttering around specific modules, so if you hit performance weirdness in certain areas, that's worth grabbing. Honestly, it's all pretty basic. If you install it properly, keep your mod list tidy, then you'll have a great time with this. If you're looking for some comparisons, I think Empire at War is my current fix for Star Wars madness, but Empire at War is strategy first, Interworlds lets you live in the galaxy. You're not just commanding fleets, you're building the economy that feeds them, flying ships, taking contracts, and creating your own wars through the choices you make. Then there's Star Wars Squadrons if you want that flying in Star Wars feeling, but it is fairly mundane overall, but it does work well on the Steam Deck. Then there's the TIE Fighter Total Conversion mod, which looks absolutely incredible. I've got it all installed, but I'm yet to get into it. But if this is successful, I will follow up with a video about that. Many of us love Star Wars, but it's been really hard to get that new Star Wars game that actually fits. Especially the kind of make your own story sandbox stuff, and it's the same with Star Trek, to be honest. So seeing a mod like this come along and not just exist but evolve, hitting the 0.9 era, getting more systems, more polish, more identity, it's a reminder that sometimes it's the mod community that keeps the dream alive. I am in touch with one of the devs who are involved in this mod, but do check out the full list of everybody involved, as he was keen to stress there are many others contributing to this. So yeah, Star Wars Interworlds in its 0.9 era is the kind of mod that makes you remember why you fell in love with space sims in the first place. It's huge, it's ambitious, it's a little bit demanding, but if you've ever wanted to live in a Star Wars sandbox where you can trade, fight, build and conquer, this is the one. If you want more Star Wars mod content this year, let me know in the comments, as it's definitely something I'm considering. Now go out there, grab this mod and have an amazing immersive Star Wars experience, and as always, I'll catch you on the next one.